Hello, hello, hello everybody. Welcome to another stream of Lamplight City, the adventure game where we play a crazy dude who imagines his dead gay partner haunting him as a ghost. Or at least I think that's gonna be the twist at the end of the game. In the last stream it was just a little short one, where we basically got the tutorial thingy out of the way, where we established that we are a detective in the fictional Lamplight City, a quasi-Victorian city in America, maybe, perhaps. It's not super clear. And we decided to try and reason with a dude who stole flowers and paid for them. And in thanks for that, our partner got dropped off a roof and fucking died. And then 3 months later, it turns out that our partner is haunting us. And he still wants us to find his murderer. And so we're trying to do that via cases that a woman gives to us that maybe is the secretary of the police chief, because we've quit the police force since then. Because the police chief blames us for the death of a partner. Many things in this game haven't been quite clearly stated yet. You kind of gotta get them from context clues. So let's go. We are also meant to investigate right now the curious case of a woman, a very well-to-do and well-reserved woman who died and then woke up in her coffin, and her servant is being blamed for having cast some sort of voodoo spell on her, but our contact doesn't believe she did. So first of all, we're gonna investigate the suspect's house.
Ah, Compton Street. We're not too far from Restaurant Row. When's the last time you ate, anyway?
Please, let's not add eating to the list of things to nag me about.
So there's our current objectives: question people of Dupree Manor and question Albert Martin. We have no clues yet and no suspects.
I'm sorry, I have no time for visitors today.
I need to speak with you about Albert Martin.
Albert? Are you with the police?
No, I'm a private investigator.
Oh, I don't think you can help. I'm sorry.
Sorry to bother you. I'll be on my way.
Good day to you, sir.
Well, that didn't work. Also, hey, Sully! What is up, my dude? How are you doing? And I do believe there was some way to show thingies like contact points, but I can't seem to find it right now. Why you escaping life, bro?
One of Atwood's re-election posters, sorely lacking a mustache. Go on, Miles. Fix this grievous injustice.
Not now, Bill. There are more important things to worry about.
Spoil sport.
What's got you down, brother?
I'm glad that Coulson still uses horses. I don't trust the new self-driving cabs.
Self-driving cabs. Huh. That sucks, Broseph. I'm approaching the end of my my contract with the beverage delivering firm, so I am on edge as well because I don't know if I'm gonna be extended yet.
Considering how many eating establishments are in this neighborhood, the butcher picked a fantastic spot to set up shop. I do notice a distinct lack of stray cats in this neighborhood, though.
Hey, I gotta be honest, I've never understood why people are so squeamish about eating cat or dog meat. I totally eat it. Hell, I'd eat human meat if I knew that the person didn't get murdered for their meat or something like that. I'd do it. Well, I actually don't know if the job market's terrible in Germany right now. It's just that I'm new at the place.
Bonbon's restaurant. I never got a chance to go there, but I hear their deviled eggs are simply to die for.
Solely this my streaming activities on Save State and the connected recordings of it on YouTube has eliminated any chances I ever had at a political career.
Fordham? Is that you? You look like something a cat spat up.
Hello, Giles. It's lovely to see you too.
What brings you around the jail? I thought you'd quit being a detective.
I'm looking to speak with Mr. Albert Martin.
Oh, I see. Well, that's him in the first cell there. I'd say what needs saying as quick as you can, though. He's headed for the gallows in the morning.
What? Already? But what about a trial?
No trial necessary when there's black magic involved. This little half-breed's already sealed his fate.
Such a charming fellow, isn't he?
Shit. On with the racism.
He's watching you like a hawk. Looks liable to toss you in one of his cells if you try any funny business. I bet that's a direct line to the police department. You should make a rude noise into it when Giles isn't paying attention.
Also notice the very nice flogger here in the foreground, and those clamps that would make any modern BDSM enthusiast shudder with delight.
Not much in the way of comfort. No bed or even a bucket. It's a good thing this place is meant for short stays.
Mr. Martin?
Who are you? My lawyer?
No, I'm actually here to help you. The name's Miles Fordham. I'm a private investigator.
How are you going to help me?
I'm looking into the attack on Madame Dupre. I believe you're innocent.
Oh, thank heaven. That's music to my ears.
Do you mind answering a few questions for me?
Friend, if it means saving me from the noose, I'll tell you nothing less than God's truth.
Interesting choice of phrase for someone accused of using black magic.
So let's
What
talk
can you
about
tell me
this
about
Dupre
Madame
woman.
Dupre?
What's to tell? She's a twisted, evil woman who got what was coming to her. Whoever attacked her deserves some sort of reward for the service they're doing the community.
So it wasn't you then?
No, I'm innocent, Mr. Fordham. You have to believe me.
I'm afraid you're not making that very easy right now, Mr. Martin.
Well, I don't know the actual etymology of black magic, and if it predates major contact between Europeans and Africans, but it might have been named because it was thought to be done by blacks. I don't know, man.
Do you know anything about the circumstances of Madame Dupre's supposed death?
No, I had nothing to do with it.
Then why did her son accuse you?
Probably because he's just as ignorant as she is.
What I meant was, how did her son know to accuse you? Have you had any contact with the family before?
Yes, you could say that.
Uh-oh. That gleam in his eye says it all.
You see, I'm involved with Dupre's daughter, Juliet Montgomery. Dupre doesn't like that one bit. She even threatened me once.
Is that right?
Yes. She might have everyone else fooled, but that woman is the devil incarnate. I can't understand how something so heartless and cruel could have spawned someone as pure and, loving as my dear Juliet.
He's not really helping his case much, is he?
Tell me about Juliet.
She's wonderful. Such a beautiful, kind soul. She hasn't come to see me yet, but I'm sure that's because of all the confusion in the last few days. Juliet wouldn't believe for a second that I would be capable of harming her mother. I'm sure of it.
How did you two get involved?
We met at the university.
Your classmates?
Hardly. They wouldn't allow someone like me to enroll there. Juliet studies botany. I work as an assistant in the greenhouse. We started talking, and she actually treated me like a person. To everyone else, I was just the boy who fetched the test tubes. But Juliet actually wanted to hear what I had to say. Had the same taste in books and art. Didn't just treat me like some piece of gardening equipment. She even shared some of her notes with me after I told her I was interested in botany as well. From there, things just got better. I don't expect you to understand or approve, but that's how it happened.
Oh, you'd be surprised. It doesn't sound too different to how my wife and I got together. Except I was a detective and she was a singer at a bar.
And she's...
Yes, Mr. Martin. Anyway, back to the matter at hand. How often is Juliet in the greenhouse?
Every weekday, but I doubt she's there now. She's probably trying to find out where I am and working to have me released.
Somehow, I wouldn't bet on that.
To explain that, I don't recall if you were there for the first stream solely, but the Detective Nut Cumberbatch's wife over here is black as well. There is a distinct, well, I'd say background element of progressivism in the game with the black wife and the gay partner, but it's not in the foreground too hard. It doesn't intrude.
How did you end up in here?
I was just minding my own business at home when the police showed up with no warning. They made some outrageous claims about me putting some sort of curse on Madame Dupre. The next thing I knew, I was here. Oh, Mama must be beside herself with worry. I just hope she's all right.
What does your mother do, Mr. Martin?
She helps people.
I was hoping you'd be just a bit more specific.
She provides spiritual help to those who seek guidance.
She's a spiritualist.
Not quite. She's more like... how can I explain it? You know how a priest holds mass to spread the word of God to the people? My mother holds services and calls on the spirits to walk among us, providing healing and guidance.
So she's a religious leader?
If you want to give her that title, it would be the most appropriate.
And does this religion of yours have a name?
You'd probably know it as voodoo, but it doesn't mean what you think it does. People are so quick to judge and portray us as evil when they have no idea.
So you practice voodoo, do you?
Are you making fun of me, Mr. Fordham?
No, of course not. Apologies if it seemed as though I was. It's just that the police are convinced that black magic was involved in Madame Dupre's apparent death.
That's because that idiot son of hers knew about my mother, and like all bigoted fools, assumed that we're involved in devil worship and the black arts. But I can assure you that this is most certainly not the case, Mr. Fordham.
Of course, I didn't mean to imply.
Just forget it.
That's all for now.
Wait, before you go, would you do me a favor? Would you go see my mother at our house and give her a message?
You're at 451 Compton Street, right?
Yes, that's right. Could you tell her I said St. Rock's dog is barking?
I suppose I could do that, yes.
Oh, thank you.
Whatever happened to a simple I love you?
Well, ain't that a mysterious message? This man is surely not doing anything to make himself seem innocent. But don't you just love places where black magic can be an actual fucking crime? Like, holy shit. Reminds me of modern day Africa, where they still burn people for witchcraft.
You are aware this is private property, sir?
Yes, I'm Miles Fordham, private investigator. I'm looking into the incident involving Madame Dupre. I assume this is she?
You assume correctly, Mr. Fordham. My apologies, but I thought the police had already made an arrest.
That's right, but there's still some doubt as to the man's guilt. May I ask your name, sir?
I am Dr. Fellows, Madame Dupre's private physician. I'm afraid she is in no state to be answering questions at present.
Are any other members of the family home?
Her son, Mr. Montgomery, is in the entrance hall. I had to give him a mild sedative to settle his nerves, but he should be all right to converse.
Then if you don't mind, I'll have a look around.
Well, 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 her private physician. There's someone who could have, like, poisoned her or some shit.
Her eyes are glazed over and she's got a vacant, expressionless stare. She seems completely oblivious to her surroundings. If we didn't know she'd been buried alive, I'd say she was just exhibiting the typical symptoms of your average rich person. This fountain probably looked nicer when it was working, but right now it's just a breeding ground for mosquitoes. With her vast sums of wealth, Madame Dupre could probably feed a starving family for the next 30 years. Instead, she uses the money to keep her hedges trimmed.
Doctor, may I ask you a few questions?
Please be my guest.
Tell me about Madame Dupre.
She is a great woman and a pillar of the community. I cannot imagine why something like this could happen to her, or how someone could be capable of such a barbaric feat. Though this ordeal has been terrible, I am confident she will overcome. The power of her physical constitution is surpassed only by her strength of character.
You think he'd say the same things if he wasn't on her payroll? I highly doubt it.
What were the circumstances surrounding Madame Dupre's supposed death?
Her son, Andrew, sent for me a few days ago after finding her unconscious and unresponsive. As I was unable to detect a pulse or breath, I had no other recourse but to declare her deceased. I judged that Madame Dupre had likely suffered a sudden cardiac arrest. It was most shocking to be proven wrong at a funeral.
I can imagine. Where was the funeral held, by the way?
St. Denis Cemetery. Madame Dupre wished to be interred in the tomb of her father's family, name of Chesterton.
Perhaps I'll go have a look. How long have you been Madame Dupre's private physician?
5 years, and I've been practicing medicine for the past 30. I still spend a couple of days a week treating patients at Riverview Asylum.
Oh, good. Maybe if you're lucky, he could be your doctor someday.
30 years is quite a long time. You must have seen some incredible advances in the field of medicine.
I have, yes. I can only wonder how things will change with all this talk of ethericity. There's speculation it can be used to restore necrotic tissue and instantly heal broken bones, among other things. If you ask me, a good bloodletting will never go out of fashion.
Ah, yes. Bloodletting. Probably what killed at least one president.
Did you examine Madame Dupre after she reanimated?
Of course. Physically, she appeared to be in fine health aside from minor dehydration. I found no marks or bruising on her body. Mentally is a different story, however. She's remained in an unresponsive state ever since.
Do you have any opinions on what caused Madame Dupre to appear dead?
The most likely cause I can imagine is some sort of poison or toxin.
What leads you to believe Madame Dupre was poisoned?
The symptoms she experienced were consistent with prior cases of poisoning I've studied. And didn't the young man arrested have ties to some kind of black magic cult? There have been reported cases of these practitioners using poisons to make people appear dead, then commanding them to do their bidding. I recall reading about a man in the West Indies who was given tetrodotoxin, that's the toxic secretion from a pufferfish, declared dead and buried. He appeared alive in his village some 20 years later.
Doesn't that seem a bit far-fetched to you, Doctor?
Facts are facts, Mr. Fordham. Surely someone in your line of work can appreciate that.
I have a feeling this
Those are
doctor
all the
doesn't
questions I've got
actually
for
know
now.
what a
I
fact
hope
is.
I answered them adequately.
Oh, hello. Are you the new servant?
No, I'm Miles Fordham. I'm a private investigator looking into your mother's attempted murder.
How did you know I was her son? Oh, of course. You must have sensed it with your detective's intuition. I should have guessed by that giant head of yours.
Are you feeling all right, Mr. Montgomery?
Yes, I'm fine. Much better than when those pesky police officers were snooping around earlier. But I like you, Mr. Fordham. I can already tell you're not like them at all. Please, call me Andrew.
Yes, well, I'll have a look around and I may need to ask you some questions. Do you think you can handle that?
I can. In fact, I really look forward to it.
If the good doctor gave him a mild sedative, I'd hate to see what the stuff you take would have done to him.
He got some of the good shit.
What a beautiful parrot. Must have cost the Dupreys a cool copper.
You got something to say, boy?
Who's a pretty bird?
Ray's a pretty bird.
Polly want a cracker?
No, thank you.
Pieces of 8?
Aye, matey.
So long, Birdie.
This
Bye-bye.
this is giving me flashbacks to Ace Attorney when you call the fucking parrot to the stand.
Duprey looks like she's holding on to that poor bastard for dear life. Yeah, it looks like gumbo's on the menu tonight. I wonder how it compares with Upton's special recipe. Certainly no shortage of bowls or food preparation items around here. Looks like the type of spices you'd use in a stew. Most likely paprika or turmeric. Nice variety of reds and oranges. Judging by the amount of food this family probably eats, washing the dishes must take forever. It's times like these make me wish I could still eat.
Pardon me, miss.
What? Who are you?
I'm Miles Fordham. I'm investigating the attempted murder of Madame Duprey.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir, but I'm very busy. I can't help you.
Do you know anything about what happened to Madame Duprey?
No, I don't. Please leave me to my work. I shouldn't be talking to you.
All right, I'm going.
Ah, yes. The joys of upper-class servitude.
A horrible little porcelain figurine. Madame Duprey didn't strike me as the type to play with dolls.
Ooh, note.
It would appear that Madame Duprey was taking music lessons.
Her current predicament has probably put an end to that venture, though.
That's gonna become important at some point.
You've got some huge bags under your eyes, Miles. Reminds me of the case we had on that strange train.
Don't remind me.
That's an old uniform, from the turn of the century by the look of it. This must be Madame Duprey's first husband. Kinda strange that she'd still keep his portrait in the bedroom. A much younger Madame Duprey. I suppose that's a nice alternative to a mirror. Seems Madame Duprey fancies herself a poet.
To dream. O Morpheus, caress my cheek. Bring forth the soothing visions. Give me strength when I am weak. Allow me some provisions. In your domain, I am as queen, controlling all I see and hear. I've traveled places I've never been, and know not the meaning of fear. The dove. The dove is pure, serene and pale, a glowing angel in the sparkling sky. Its gentle coos, unlike the wail of the cursed crow that will not die. Protect the dove from grim defeat, let it remain in gentle flight, for when the crow's allowed to eat, it covers the world in eternal night.
Well, that was life-changing.
For once in my life, I'm completely speechless.
Then perhaps I should take this with me and read it more often. Nah.
Ooh, a fainting couch. You know, I always wanted one of these, but I never fainted enough to justify buying one.
I have a feeling that nobody poisoned Madame Dupree and she just overdid it a little with the drugs.
Let's see if there's anything in these drawers. Damn, nothing but personal effects and more stationery.
Don't forget the first rule of detective work. If there's nothing useful inside, check underneath and between.
Ah, yes, of course. Thanks for the reminder.
Uh-huh, now this is intriguing.
I'm not going to warn you again, you disgusting mulatto thug. Stay away from my daughter and my house or I'll kill you yourself. Kill you myself. Well, that's interesting.
Must be nice being able to afford keeping your oil lamps lit during the daytime. Nice little cottage. Looks like it would make a nice cozy spot to retire. If I hadn't already retired from life, that is. Juliet really likes plants and flowers, doesn't she? I've never seen so many beauty products together in one place. Doesn't look like they get used much, though.
Locked. I suppose I shouldn't be surprised. Let's have a look through these papers. Aha, what's this?
Dear Miss Montgomery, unfortunately I've been informed of a series of burglaries in the neighborhood. Need a room you're renting from me at 76 Forest Lane. As a precaution, I've gone ahead and changed the locks. Please find enclosed a copy of your new key. I hope this doesn't cause too much of an inconvenience.
So, Juliet is renting a room in the Chum. That's certainly interesting. I can't wait to see what sort of dirty secrets she's got hidden away in there.
Interesting. The Chum, for those who weren't here during the first stream, is the bad part of town.
Goodness, someone went overboard with the flowers. This brings back some memories, doesn't it?
Ones I'd rather forget.
I don't know much about art, but I see Madame Dupre and I at least have similar tastes.
Let's have a look. Leeches!
Is this really the best that medical science has to offer? Is this really the best?
These should be useful.
Yoink.
It looks as though this folded piece of paper is being used as a bookmark. I hope remembering what page they were on wasn't too important.
Looks like it's a letter for Andrew.
Andrew, enclosed is the agreed upon fee. I wouldn't be able to concentrate on exams without this help. Dr. Tennyson charges an obscene amount. Thank goodness for good people like you with home pharmacies. I'll look for them in the usual spot under the Weeping Angel. P.S. Sorry to hear about your mother. I'll wait a few days before passing by. Aha!
Dr. Tennyson's Vigor Pills. These would make a sloth act like a hummingbird.
The bottle is empty.
A gentle reminder that everyone's time is slowly running out. Decadent. Decadent.
An empty bottle of pills designed to energize even the laziest of people. Recommended for use by men only. Contains 98% benzoyl methyl benzoyl methyllecogniine. I wonder if that's the thing. Let me Google that. Benzoyl methyl ecogniine. Cocaine! It is fucking cocaine. Hey, Suika. This one is about Detective Not Cumberbatch over here, who used to be a cop, but isn't anymore, since in the introductory adventure his gay partner was thrown off a roof and now haunts him. And we're currently investigating the death and miraculous reawakening of a high society lady in the hope that it brings us closer to finding the guy who pushed our partner off the roof. This one is probably related to the note chart we saw in Madame Dupree's bedroom.
Oh, look! It's one of those new audio cylindergraphs. I can't quite wrap my head around how they can manage to get sound out of a wax cylinder. It must be a nice place to sit and listen to music. Why would anyone need so many flowers in one room?
Perhaps it's to mask the odors of those chemicals on the workstation.
Could be.
Let's check these drawers.
This is always my favorite part of detective work.
Nothing inside but a bunch of extra doilies.
How disappointing. Maybe you should steal one, just to spite Madame Dupre for not giving us any good clues.
No, Bill.
You're no fun, Miles.
Let's talk to this drugged up guy then.
I have some questions for you.
Oh, goody.
What can you tell me about Madame Dupre?
She came back from the dead. I couldn't believe it. My mother, resurrected, just like Jesus.
Yes. I heard you're the one who accused Mr. Martin of the crime.
Oh, no, I already talked to the police about that. I don't want to think about it right now.
Okay. Pretty much why I'm talking to you, though, asshole.
How do you typically spend your days, Mr. Montgomery? What are your interests?
Oh, a little of this and a little of that. Nothing as exciting as what you do, I'm sure. Ooh, tell me, do most bad people start crying when you catch them? I'll bet it's a laugh riot to see them sobbing away.
No, Mr. Montgomery, most of them don't.
Well, that's a real shame, isn't it?
What can you tell me about your sister, Juliet?
I'm reminded of a famous quote, Mr. Fordham. Parting is such sweet sorrow. Let us part on good terms and avoid the subject altogether, please.
So the two don't really like each other.
I found this bottle of pills upstairs. Are they yours?
Yes, I take those from time to time when I'm feeling tired.
You seem to be out.
Yes, that is a pity.
Where do you usually acquire them?
Oh, they're available by mail order only. I'll have to remember to request some later.
Fucking cocaine. Just straight up cocaine.
That's a rather exotic bird you've got.
I like looking at him. He has such pretty colors, doesn't he?
That he does.
You know, I've always wondered what he might taste like. Is that bad, do you think?
I really couldn't say, Mr. Montgomery.
Probably tastes like chicken.
No, thank you for yours.
This is ridiculous. He won't be of any use in this state. If it takes him as long to snap out of it as it takes you, we'll be waiting around here until noontime tomorrow. There has to be a way to bring him back to his senses. Maybe that quack outside knows something of use.
But yeah, you're right, Suika. This one looks much less refined than Unavowed, but it's also decidedly more indie. As far as I can tell, this is everyone involved's first point-and-click adventure game. And Watch It Eye does have a certain pedigree by now.
Doctor, may I ask you a few questions?
Please be my guest.
May I ask exactly what kind of sedative you gave Andrew?
A simple tincture of laudanum. It's what I give all my nervous patients.
He seems a bit out of sorts.
Hot? Meat kettle.
It can have that effect, but it usually wears off in half a day or so.
Is there a way to bring him out of his condition sooner?
A stimulant would have the opposite effect, but I wouldn't recommend mixing the two. It could have potentially harmful effects on his heart.
Oh, of course. I wasn't planning on doing anything of the sort. I was just curious.
It's cute how you act like you have no experience in these matters. It's almost convincing.
Those are all the questions I've got for now.
I hope I answered them adequately.
I guess I gotta go give Andrew a heart attack. But I do very much enjoy the conversation screen, even if it's a little empty with the whole no background. But the faces are very well drawn, I think. Okay, that's the daughter's address. Let's actually go deliver the message from the convict, because as has been said, Madame Dupre, who was the woman in the purple dress and the wheelchair, seemed to have died and then woke up in her coffin, and she's been unresponsive ever since. And there's a black dude sitting in jail because he supposedly put a black magic curse on her. Let's go give his cryptic message from him to his mom.
You again. I told you I have no time for visitors.
You're Albert Martin's mother, aren't you?
Who are you?
Miles Fordham. I spoke with Albert, and he told me to give you a message. He said to tell you that St. Rock's dog is barking.
Oh, I see. That's good. That's very good. You better come in, Mr. Fordham. Standing on the street just won't do. Welcome to my home, Mr. Fordham. I am Sabine Martin. I hope you understand that Albert has nothing to do with this awful business. Would you care for some tea?
Well, her tune certainly changed when you gave her that message. I wonder what it meant.
No, thank you, ma'am. I won't be staying long.
A rather unremarkable book collection, I'm sorry to say. That statue, on the other hand, gives me the willies. The Virgin Mary. I must admit, she was the last person I was expecting to see in here.
Ah yes, Virgin Mary. Figure entirely based on a mistranslation.
For all we know, that rider is some sort of demon. He looks like he's having a good time, at least. That pattern resembles a flower. Too bad it isn't an Easter lily. It's some old man with a dog standing at the center of a crossroads. If that's meant to have any sort of significance, it's completely lost on me.
Crossroads are very important in voodoo. And she is a voodoo practitioner.
I'm afraid that room is private, Mr. Fordham. I must respectfully ask you to not go in there.
Of course. My apologies.
Damn it.
I've got a few questions for you, Mrs. Martin.
I'll try to answer them the best I can.
Oh, she's real pretty.
Do you think your son is capable of doing what he stands accused of?
Never. Albert wouldn't harm a fly.
That's what the mothers always say.
Why don't you tell me a bit more about him then?
He started working at the university laboratory a few years ago. I was so proud of him. The university is quite selective, you know. The same for its staff as well as its students.
Yes, I've gotten that impression.
I always told Albert to be careful around those high society types, but that one always thinks with his heart first.
Is she sure that's the correct body part?
He's all the family I have, Mr. Fordham.
Do you know anything about Madame Laura Dupre?
I never met her in person, but I know plenty about her.
Like what?
Nothing fit for a polite conversation, Mr. Fordham. But I can tell you this. Laura Dupre has far more enemies than she lets on.
Does that include you or your son?
It most certainly does not.
What do you know about Juliet, Madame Dupre's daughter?
I know Albert was smitten with her, no matter that I told him to be very careful around her kind. Those rich Creole families don't care much for people like us. To them, we're just a help. But from his telling, Juliet sounded to be a decent soul. It's a shame the same can't be said for her kin.
Creole families? Thought Creoles were blacks. Huh. Maybe I have misunderstood the term in the past.
If you'll indulge my curiosity, what exactly was the meaning of Albert's message?
Saint Roch is the patron saint of dogs, as well as the falsely accused. If he sent the message along with you, it means he trusts you, and that I should too.
Oh, I see.
Well,
Perhaps
that
you were
was
hoping for something
spectacularly
more?
underwhelming.
That's just the way of mysteries, isn't it?
How do you mean?
The thrill of the unknown is always more exciting than the truth. Mystery makes life a little more interesting.
True, but if mysteries were really better unsolved, I wouldn't have a job. What exactly is it you do, Mrs. Martin?
I provide services to the public.
A delightfully vague answer if there ever was one. Give me something a bit more specific, please.
I'm a Mambo Asugwe. That means I'm what you call a voodoo queen. I'd give you a detailed explanation of the responsibilities and duties of the role, but your time would be better spent clearing my son's name.
Can you tell me a bit more about your religious practices?
What I can tell you is that the ignorant whites in this city are afraid of us for no reason. Voodoo is not about black magic or dark spells or turning people into the living dead. It's about healing and life. Naturally, there are misguided souls who may try to use it for ill purposes, but I am not one of those.
Sounds like you hit a sore spot. Might be a good idea to stop pressing her on this angle.
Isn't it funny how followers of any religion always say it's not about the bad parts? Let's ask her for tea and then snoop around behind those curtains.
I think I'll take you up on your offer for tea, after all.
All right, Mr. Fordham. You'll have to give me a few minutes to heat up the kettle. I'll be back shortly.
Amazing! Even more voodoo stuff back there. Why would she keep these particular items hidden from view?
Good question.
They obviously have some importance to her. I'd suggest asking, but I don't know if that's the best idea given how sensitive she seems to be about the subject.
The tea should be ready in a few minutes, Mr. Fordham. You can help yourself once it's done.
You're very kind, Mrs. Martin.
Interesting. Those pots look as though they've been wrapped in tobacco leaves.
Okay, let's go find
Aren't you going to have
Juliet.
your tea, Mr. Fordham?
I'm afraid I just remembered something important I need to look into. Perhaps later.
Suit yourself.
Let's go to the university and see if we can find Juliet.
Oh, it's as though we've journeyed to the tropics. I don't know how you can stand to keep that coat on in here.
How the fuck can a ghost feel how hot and humid it is?
One of those cute little Japanese trees that are all the rage these days. Personally, I don't see how giving a tree a haircut is meant to be relaxing. Quite the assortment of plants they keep in here. I wonder if they serve any purpose or are just meant to look pretty. Judging from that pipe, that contraption must be used to keep the plants hydrated. It looks like a giant earwax remover to me. Those flowers are definitely not native to this area. They seem to be thriving in their glass tubes, though.
Also, gasp! She is wearing pants!
Pardon the disturbance, but are you Juliet Montgomery?
I am. And you are?
Miles Fordham. I'm a private investigator looking into the events surrounding your mother's attempted murder.
Ah, of course.
Have you got time to answer some questions?
Yes, that shouldn't be a problem.
Huh. Spitting image of her mom.
Do you know anything about the events leading up to your mother's premature internment?
No, it was a complete shock. Mother seemed to be perfectly healthy and full of life. Then, without warning, she was dead. Or so we thought.
I take it you were glad to be wrong?
What a ridiculous question. Of course I was. What sort of heartless beast would celebrate their mother's death?
Oh, I could name a few. Juliet definitely didn't shed any tears over Madame Dupre, though. That much is obvious.
Miss Montgomery, you don't have to lie to me. I'm not going to assume you tried killing your mother just because you weren't upset by her death.
I felt terrible about it. You have to understand, I didn't want her to be dead. I just felt a sense of relief. Please, don't think me a horrible person, Mr. Fordham. It's just that Mother and I aren't currently on the best of terms.
Why don't you and your mother get along?
We've never completely seen eye to eye on anything. She always disapproved of anything I did. When I was younger, she used to forbid me from speaking to the servants. I saw no harm in a kind word or smile, but then when I declared my intentions to pursue academic studies, she really went livid. In her opinion, a university education was tantamount to a chastity belt. What sort of man would want a wife with a head full of useless facts, she'd say.
Personally, I've always found intelligence to be quite attractive.
I assume your mother didn't approve of your involvement with Mr. Martin?
A rather forward question, Mr. Fordham. But you're not mistaken. I'm not sure how she managed to find out about Albert and me, but when she did, she nearly had a conniption. As I'm sure you can understand, the situation at home has been less than perfect in the last few months. I'd really rather not dwell on it.
You mentioned you were friends with the servants.
Yes, that's right. I didn't care that they worked for us. Everyone needs a friend.
Did your mother ever mistreat them?
Mistreat? No, I wouldn't say so. She was always very stern, though, and quite cold. If they ever shirked their duties or misbehaved, they were punished, of course, but nothing out of the ordinary that I ever saw. Most of the servants are my friends, but I'm closest with Amelie, the kitchen maid. Mother wasn't too happy about that. Amelie's been around as long as I can remember. She's like the aunt I never had.
Just to put that into context, the ordinary that she saw nothing out of back in those days was probably lashes or caning. So yeah. Aren't you glad that today we're enslaved by low wages instead of caning and paddling?
What can you tell me about Albert Martin?
I'm not quite sure where to begin.
Why not start by telling me what your relationship with him was?
We met here at the greenhouse. He was working as an assistant, sweeping and cleaning and fetching things for the students. My focus was on academics, naturally. I wasn't too interested in romance. In fact, I've had to turn away nearly every single one of my classmates. But with Albert, I found myself intrigued. I noticed him stealing glances.
He's got the jungle fever.
Mug or flask, sweeping the same patch of floor near me over and over again. It wasn't too long before I had him bringing me tools and equipment regularly.
I see.
As I mentioned, Mother was an absolute terror when she found out.
Do you believe Mr. Martin did what he stands accused of?
I'm not entirely sure. It doesn't seem like him, but Albert can be quite passionate. If the police believe he's to blame, then they must have a reason for it. It wasn't any secret that he hated Mother. Perhaps I should have ended things sooner. It was satisfying to know that Mother was displeased, but I never imagined it would lead to something like this.
Well, it's nice to see she's all heart.
Ooh, poor Andrew. He's gonna be devastated.
So, you study botany. Fascinating subject.
Are you an admirer of plants, Mr. Fordham?
My wife has the green thumb in the household, but I do have a certain appreciation for them.
Plants are amazing things, just like people in many ways.
How do you mean?
They need attention and care. Ignore a plant, and it will wither. Give it too much attention, and it will become sick. Plants have many things to teach us, and I greatly enjoy learning from them.
What can you tell me about your brother?
Andrew, Mama's precious little boy. If you've met him, you pretty much know all you need to. He's had the whole world handed to him on a silver platter. But he's in for a rude awakening someday. Mother can only provide for him for so long.
These plants are impressive. Are they yours?
Yes, I've developed a method to make them extra healthy and strong.
They're larger than anything I've ever seen. How do you do it?
Ah, but I can't reveal my secrets, Mr. Fordham. The world will hear about my discoveries soon enough.
Incidentally, do you know anything about Easter lilies?
No, I don't keep or grow those here.
No more questions for now.
Then if you don't mind, I have work to do.
So far I have two theories. Either Juliet poisoned her mom, or her mom poisoned herself. Either by accident or on purpose. Alright, let's go to the cemetery.
Ah, St. Denis Cemetery. Best view in the city. It's just a shame none of the residents can enjoy it. I think I'm buried around here somewhere. Wonder how the old gravestone is doing these days.
I can't really read those gravestones, but they don't look like jokey gravestones anyway.
Looks like people have left markings and offerings in front of this tomb. You may think it's a silly superstition, but I wish you'd leave a bottle of Bollingworth at my grave every now and then. Nice view of the river from up here. You can hardly even see the cloud of smog over the chum. The plaque says Harrison. Doesn't look very opulent, so I guess it doesn't belong to anyone important. I don't know him. Must be a recent addition to the force. Well, at least he won't recognize you. If only that police officer wasn't guarding the tomb, you could go in there and raid it to your heart's content.
Hey, buddy.
Good day to you, officer.
Good day, sir. How may I be of assistance?
Sure is a nice day to be walking around the cemetery, wouldn't you agree?
I guess, if you're into that sort of thing. Personally, the noise those bugs are making is starting to drive me crazy.
Would you mind letting me in the tomb, please?
Afraid I can't do that, sir. This tomb is currently part of a police investigation and ain't available for visits until further notice.
I think I saw someone being mugged.
I think I saw someone being mugged at the front entrance.
Nice try, sir, but that's clearly a bunch of bull. You're just trying to get me to step away so you can go inside the tomb.
What? No, I would never do such a thing.
In any case, there's another officer stationed at the entrance, so if there was somebody being mugged, he'd see it for sure.
Well, at the very least, it's nice to see the department is hiring competent officers who aren't easily fooled.
That's true.
Good day to you, officer.
Afraid I ain't... Please.
Wonder how I can get rid of him. One more place to check out, and that is Juliet's apartment in the slums.
Egad! Is this someone's room or a jungle?
Quite a fascinating array of plants in here. Not to mention the machinery on the table.
Seems like Juliet is very interested in getting extra credit.
Also, there's copious mold on the ceiling.
I wonder what sort of fertilizer or growth tonic these plants are getting. Whatever it is, it's definitely working. Those are the most vibrant flowers we've seen in a while. I bet they smell extra strong.
Yes, they certainly do.
It's a good thing you're the one with the nose.
Let's have a look
That's
at this
quite
bookcase.
the book collection. It almost puts Adelaide's to shame.
All impeccably cataloged and organized as well, which makes the two missing volumes stand out even more.
Missing volumes?
That's quite the...
All
This plant makes Miles Jr. look like a single blade of grass. They're just doing what flies do best.
Oh shit! The heck did I do?
Oh, would you look at that?
They seem more sluggish. Can I reverse it? Or intensify it? Interesting.
Etheric pressure. What a bunch of nonsense. I have no idea, nor desire, to know what purpose that thing has.
Well now, this is interesting.
Etheric effects. Flora. Larger, more vibrant flowers. Chlorophyll production seemingly triples. Root systems strengthen, increasing capacity to absorb nutrients. Conclusion: plants thrive from exposure to small etheric currents. Further experiments are needed to determine the long-term effects. Etheric effects. Fauna. Brain is clearly affected, inducing a trance-like state. Muscle control lost. Wings flap in a predictable pattern. Conclusion: if animals with greater cognitive ability, including humans, are exposed to specific quantities of ethericity, they will go into a stupor, appearing unresponsive or dead.
Just a bunch of technical nonsense.
Well.
I can't understand a word of it.
Isn't that interesting?
They appear to be scientific scribblings. I can't make heads nor tails of them.
That makes two of us.
They appear to be...
Doesn't give me any new clues though. Which is unexpected. Alright, let's talk with Albert some more.
Could I ask you some more questions, Mr. Martin?
It's not like I'm going anywhere.
Albert, did you hate Madame Dupre?
The woman is cruel, sadistic, and bigoted. When she found out about my relationship with Juliet, she sent me a letter threatening to have me killed if I got near her house or her daughter. So yes, Mr. Fordham, I hated her. But even so, I love her daughter. I wouldn't be so cruel as to take Juliet's mother away from her, even if she hated her too.
I beg your pardon?
Juliet and her mother didn't get along at all. I never asked why, but it was obvious there was something going on.
Intriguing.
That's all for now. We've gotten that clue from talking to Juliet. Okay, I need a stimulant, which might just as well be coffee.
She's running back and forth. All that metal.
Can we talk?
Go on.
I wanted to go...
Okay.
I seem to have hit a roadblock. There's an officer posted at Dupre's family tomb, and he won't let me in.
Makes sense. Who's the officer?
I've never seen him before. He's young, has a small scar over his left eye, and a distinct Dixie accent.
Ah yes, that would be Officer Grant. He's only been with the department for about 2 months. I don't know a lot about him, but he's already got the reputation for being the type of policeman who'd go out of his way to help old ladies cross the street. Typical Southern gentleman, it seems. Perhaps you can use that to your advantage?
Madame Dupre's son isn't being very helpful.
Is he refusing to talk?
More like incapable. The family doctor has him pretty well drugged to the gills. I need to find some way to perk him up.
Well, you know, we are in a coffee house.
I have a feeling it will take something a touch more powerful than coffee. That's enough about the case for now.
Okay.
That's it, I think.
Then you'd better get back to it.
He told me that those pills can only be
P.D.
mail
Preston's
ordered.
patented papier-mâché perambulcat. Handsomely upholstered in silk, satin, or velvet, and hand-painted in the most artistic manner, as shown in engraving. I suppose if you and Adelaide ever finally decide to have children, something like this will come in handy. Simon Banks, professional chimney sweep. Services start at 2 coppers per hour. Inquire at 305 Merrick Lane. I'm sure he's a lovable urchin, but thankfully, your chimney is clean. Professor Xander Colt Tit III's emulsified soporific, available at all discerning pharmacies. I really don't know why you think taking that rat piss every night is a good idea for him. Dr. W.S. Sales Wonder Tonic, the best and safest medicine for both gentlemen and ladies. Prevents consumption, general weakness, feverishness, indigestion, constipation, diarrhea, loss of appetite, flatulence, and head pain. They should also mention that it prevents breathing, heartbeats, and being alive. Dr. Tennyson's Vigor Pills. Absolutely guaranteed to restore vitality, youth, and vigor, or your money back. For use by men only. These things seem to have had a spike in popularity recently.
Yeah, but why can't I get him?
Green's Sulfur Soap. Beautifies the complexion, leaves you smelling fresh as a daisy. Talk about false advertising. I couldn't get a date for a week after using that stuff.
Where do I get those pills? Well, let's go try distracting Officer Grant first.
Good day to you, officer.
Afraid I ain't got to. Please.
Let's have a chat with the doctor again.
This quack hasn't gotten anything. Her eyes are glazed up. If we didn't know she'd been buried alive, I'd say she was just exhibiting the typical...
Nope. Maybe Mama Martin can help.
Back.
I've got a few...
I'll try to answer.
About that back room of yours.
I beg your pardon?
I don't know about this, Miles. Is this really a road you want to go down?
Maybe
Actually,
later.
never mind. I misspoke. Thank you for your help.
My pleasure.
Maybe later. It does kind of seem like there's an actual, like, choice involved here. That this might alter the course of the investigation.
Hello again, Miss Montgomery.
Hello, Mr.
Do you know anything about ethericity, Miss Montgomery?
You surprised me, Mr. Fordham. I had no idea someone of your profession would know or care about something like that.
I've found that it pays to be open-minded.
To answer your question, yes, I am familiar with the theory of ethericity. In fact, it's recently become a focus of my studies. Despite what the newspapers have been reporting, it's already possible to access it in small quantities from the air around us.
Have you conducted any experiments?
No, My research has been purely theoretical. I don't have the means to do anything practical, I'm afraid.
Deceiver, dissembler, her trousers are alight. I can't understand why Juliet might not want to make her research public, though.
Miss Montgomery, please don't lie to me. I know you've been conducting experiments with ethericity. I've seen the room you're renting on Forest Lane.
What? But how?
Let's stay mysterious.
I wouldn't be very good at my job if I didn't find things out, Miss Montgomery. Now please, drop the act and tell me about your experiments.
Fine. I've been researching etheric effects on living organisms. I'm planning on presenting my discoveries to the board once I make more progress. So far, I've managed to discover that plant growth is accelerated significantly. It's given me quite the advantage in class.
But isn't that cheating?
You have no idea how difficult it's been for me to be taken seriously, Mr. Fordham. No matter how hard I tried, my work wasn't valued on its own merits by my peers or professors. I fought hard to get where I am. I wasn't about to lose all that just because some pig-headed idiots didn't think my best was good enough.
That sounds awfully familiar.
What about your notes on the effects of ethericity on animals?
Oh, those aren't complete. I haven't tested the effects on anything larger than flies. Those experiments were mainly to satisfy my curiosity, but they have little to do with my actual research.
Curiosity? Seems like a lot of effort to go to just to answer a question. But then, I never really understood these scientific types.
No more questions for now.
Then if you don't mind, I have work to do.
Okay. Weeping Angel.
This fountain probably looked nicer when it was an angel on the fountain, but it doesn't look like it's weeping. This would probably be too risky a place to hide something anyway.
Where could I find a weeping angel? Sorry about that. Maybe somewhere inside the house? This doesn't look like a weeping angel.
A horrible little porcelain figure.
The Chesterton's A Brief History.
Doesn't appear to be very brief if there's 2 volumes of it. I wonder if anyone outside the family would find this even remotely interesting.
The Parson of Crook Hall.
One of those melodramatic romances. I read it a while back, and I couldn't tell you a thing about it. Now that one sounds interesting. I was always a fan of Bedletter's short stories.
Convent of the Damned and Other Short Stories. Choice and Consequence.
Choice and Consequence. Who in their right mind would write a book about that?
Equestrian Mesmerism.
I don't even want to know what that one's about.
Buffalo Skinner, A Wild Man's Tale.
I read that one last year. If you ever wanted to know the intimate details of a buffalo's anatomy, I highly recommend it.
Can I look at... No. Can't seem to look at the other volumes.
One of those melodramatic... I've never seen so many beauty products together in one place. Doesn't look like they get used much, though. Well, someone's fancy. I never liked these types of beds much. They feel too claustrophobic.
I always thought they had a certain appeal myself.
Yes, you would think that about a bed that lets you shut out the rest of the world.
Did I search these? I didn't.
They're all empty. How unusual.
Not to mention disappointing.
Locked. I suppose I shouldn't be surprised.
Let's have a quick look at my clues. Useful tool for reaching things too small for human hands to reach, or plucking those pesky long eyebrows. Maybe I overlooked something on the desk over here?
What in the ether is that thing supposed to be? Actually, I'd rather not know.
If only I could remember how to let myself see the contact points.
As amusing as it is to chat with this
Let's see if we can't talk to Amelie.
Pardon me, miss.
I told you I'm very busy.
Amelie, please. I need to know what you know about Madame Dupre.
What? How did you know my name?
Juliet told me about you.
Miss Juliet?
Yes, I spoke to her at the university. She mentioned you two were friends.
Yes, that's right. She's always been so good to me.
Look, Amelie, I'm just trying to get some information. And I have a feeling you can be very helpful if you just let me talk to you.
All right, fine. But do it as fast as you can.
All right then.
Tell me about Madame Dupre.
Oh, I really shouldn't, sir.
It would greatly help my investigation if you did.
Madame Dupre was kind enough to hire me as her cook. It's hard to get jobs in the city. Lots of people want their servants to use those new machines. My sister's brother-in-law got half his leg blown off by one of those new ovens. He's lucky he wasn't killed. So I'm plenty happy working here doing real people's work. But Madam can be difficult sometimes.
Difficult? What do you mean by that?
No, I said enough.
What do you know about Madame Dupre's supposed death?
All I can tell you is that whoever did it really hated her.
Do you know Albert Martin, the man accused of the crime?
No, I'm sorry.
What can you tell me about Andrew?
He ain't so bad. Kinda spoiled, but he mostly cleans up after himself. Has a whole private part of the house, but I think he only uses one room. Better for me, way less to clean.
What do you know about Juliet?
She was always so kind to me and the others, but her mother don't like that one bit. Still, she sneaks down into the kitchen to keep me company some nights. Even though she's a good soul, I think part of her does it just to spite her mother.
Are you the only remaining servant here?
No, there's another one, Marcel. He's the new gardener. I haven't seen him in a few days, though. Not since before Madam's incident.
Thank you, Amelie. I appreciate your time.
You're welcome. Now please, let me get back to work.
That is highly suspicious. Joshua.
Dupre looks like she's holding on to...
Who's a pretty bird?
Rock! Ray's a pretty bird.
So long, Birdie.
Rock! Bye-bye.
Didn't get any new clues out of that.
This quack hasn't... With her vast sums of wealth, Madame Dupre could probably feed a starving family for the next 30 years. Instead... As amusing as...
Where to go next? What to do next?
She's busy. That's not to bother. Nothing else to ask him right now. He's watching you. I bet that's a direct...
Maybe I can go talk to my wife.
Hey, Addie. Here I am.
Good to see you've made it back in one piece. So what's this big case Upton's got you on? Another missing pet?
If only. A Gascon Grand Dame was attacked and almost interred alive.
You mean Madame Dupre? The one whose obituary was in the paper?
The very same.
Goodness, that does sound serious. Tell me if there's anything I can do to help. I know you haven't been feeling your best lately.
You're always a help to me, Addie. Though I assure you I have this well in hand.
I certainly hope so.
Maybe I can have her distract Officer Grant.
Your book collection has always astonished. Do you remember how much time Adelaide had to spend, at least these days, with ferrite?
Addie?
Yes, dear.
Yes, but let's ask her about Madame Dupre first.
Do you know anything about Madame Dupre?
I've read that the Dupreys are one of the few wealthy families that exclusively employ real people to serve. Rather commendable, don't you think?
Yes. It makes it even more baffling why she was attacked. Have you heard any gossip from your clients? Anything about who might have wanted to harm her?
Nothing. She's held in the highest regard by the other Grand Dames. If she had actually died, I'd have expected them to petition her canonization.
I was wondering if you could do me a favor.
What is it?
There's an officer posted in front of Madame Dupre's family tomb, and I need to get a look inside. Could you use your wiles and charm to distract him?
My wiles and charm,
Well, you are irresistible, darling. I'm sure he wouldn't turn away a lady in need. Say you've gotten lost in the cemetery and ask him to show you the way out.
Should we really be tricking a police officer like that?
There's no harm in it, and I won't be but a moment inside. It's in a good cause.
All right, let's go then. Excuse me, officer. I was wondering if you could help me?
What do you want?
I seem to have gotten all turned around. Do you have any idea how to get to the front gate?
My suggestion would be to turn around and head back the way you came.
Yes, I've tried that, but I seem to just be going in circles. Perhaps you could point me in the right direction?
Stop right there. That's quite enough from you.
I beg your pardon?
Don't think I can't tell what your game is. You're trying to lure me away from here and into some alley where your gang of Sambos is gonna rob me blind. Exactly how many of them have you got lying in wait for poor unsuspecting fools you bring them?
Just one.
Damn!
And he doesn't appreciate you talking to his wife that way.
You know, Miles, sometimes I forget how absolutely delightful it is to watch you lose your head.
Miles, was that really necessary?
I'm sorry, Addie. You know how I get with people whose minds are full of that rubbish.
Let's just get him out of sight before this lands both of us in jail. That bush over there should work. I have to say, I wasn't expecting assaulting a policeman to be on today's activity list.
It'll be fine. When you're on the force as long as I was, you can pretty much get away with murder.
Well, it's been fun, but I need to take my wiles and charm over to my appointment with Mrs. Lefebvre. I'll see you at home later, dear. Try to stay out of trouble.
Well, at least we have access to the tomb now. Ah, there's the weeping angel.
That nest is full of eggs. But where's the mother bird?
Perhaps she abandoned it.
Always assuming the worst, aren't you, Miles? I suppose the whole heaven shining down upon the tomb motif is good for the dead people's self-esteem. These crypts are reserved for future generations of Chestertons to rot in.
There are only 3 left.
Then let's hope the Chestertons aren't opposed to spending eternity cozied up to one another. What a dramatic statue. I'm rather surprised no one has defaced it. Hang on. You don't suppose this is...
Yep.
Surprise, surprise! A hidden compartment with a stash of pills inside. Seems Mr. Montgomery has a little business on the side.
Small amount of stimulant pills, handcrafted by Andrew Montgomery in his home laboratory. Let's go perk him up.
I have some questions for you.
Oh.
You'll never believe what I found in your family's tomb.
Oh? Was it a ghost?
No, it was these vigor pills. You wouldn't happen to know how they got there, would you?
I see you really are good at your job, aren't you, Mr. Fordham?
Look, Andrew, I'm in no mood for games. I'm willing to overlook your unlawful activities in exchange for your cooperation.
Fine, but you have to understand, I'm not exactly feeling myself right now.
I understand perfectly, which is why I need you to take one of these pills.
I suppose one would help. Thank you. My goodness, I always forget how fast those pills work. My heart is racing. You said you had questions, didn't you? Well, go on, ask them already. We mustn't waste any more time.
Well, that seems to have done the trick. I just hope we haven't doomed him to a heart attack.
What can you tell me about Madame Dupre?
I can't believe anyone would be so cruel as to do what that wretched bastard Martin did to her. Mother is kind and generous, and everyone loves her. She's even good enough to hire actual people to do the housework. Not many wealthy families do that, you know. They just use automated machines or hire servants to operate the manual ones.
How do you typically spend your days, Mr. Montgomery? What are your interests?
I study pharmacology at the university. I'll be graduating next year if all goes well. I just hope Mother has recovered enough by then to understand what's going on. She and Jean were so proud of me when I started university. I'd be so disappointed if she couldn't see me finish.
I take it Jean is your stepfather.
He is. Mother married him 5 years after my father died of consumption.
My condolences. Do you have a good relationship with him?
Not terribly. Truth is, I hardly ever see him. In fact, before the funeral, I hadn't seen him at all this month.
Where is he now?
I don't know for certain, but it seems likely he's at his hunting cabin.
His hunting cabin?
Yes, he often goes there. It's his way of leaving polite society behind and spending time with his thoughts. Considering what Mother just went through, well, I would guess that's where he's gone. Although, to be honest, I don't know why he's not here with Mother in her time of need.
Why do people run away from their problems instead of facing them? Why, Miles?
Do you know where this cabin is?
Afraid not. I don't share his passions, so I never cared much to accompany him on his outings.
What can you tell me about your sister, Juliet?
Juliet, smart as a whip and just as forgiving. She's a fighter, that one. Despite being the only woman in her class, she's managed to rank at the top.
Impressive.
I only wish Mother was more accepting of Juliet going to university. But you don't want to hear about boring family matters, I'm sure.
Actually, I do.
It's always so reassuring to know how much worse off everyone else
is. I really do.
What exactly were the circumstances leading up to your mother's supposed death?
A few days ago, I arrived home from school and found her collapsed on the floor. She wasn't breathing, so I immediately contacted Dr. Fellows. He examined her and pronounced her dead. We were all completely shocked. I was devastated. She'd been in fine health. In fact, she'd just been out riding that morning. You can imagine our surprise at the funeral when she sprang back to life.
What's your relationship with the servants like?
Relationship? I don't have one with them. They're servants. Mother always made it clear that they weren't part of the family, just help. We've only got 2 on staff right now, though, the kitchen girl and the gardener.
How is it you know Albert Martin?
He works at the greenhouse where my sister Juliet does her research. The 2 of them were involved romantically, and Mother didn't like that at all. I heard their fights. They were ghastly.
What exactly made you suspect he was the one responsible for what happened to your mother?
Well, I mean, it's obvious, isn't it? His mother's a notorious voodoo witch. Those people do all sorts of awful things to our kind. It's all out of spite, you know. He knew Mother disapproved of his relationship with Juliet, so he plotted to get rid of her.
So, you're running some kind of pill business on the side?
I'm providing a service, Mr. Fordham. Not everyone in this life is as lucky as I am. People pay top crown for luxuries like airship tickets and social club memberships. Medicine should be affordable to all. Dr. Tennyson has a patent on the energy pill formula and thus a monopoly on the market. That means he can charge whatever he wants. Students use these kinds of pills all the time, you know. Academic rigors can be overwhelming, and concentrating can be difficult without help sometimes. I've got the skills and the equipment. If I can replicate the formula, help my fellow students, and sell them at a much more reasonable price, why shouldn't I?
There's the fact that what you're doing is illegal.
Oh, you're starting to sound just like Mother. Just because it's illegal doesn't mean it's immoral. I can think of plenty of examples where the opposite is true.
You're probably the most altruistic person I've met all month.
The sad part is it's true.
That's a rather exotic bird you've got.
Yes, Ray is nice when he's quiet. But get him started and it's tough to shut him up.
Who trained him?
I think he already knew some phrases when Mother bought him. She's managed to teach him a few new ones, though.
Thanks for your time.
My pleasure.
Doesn't seem like I can ask Ray anything new.
So long, Birdie.
Bye-bye.
Okay, got a new clue, I think, or a new objective. Okay, John Dupree's hunting cabin. Maybe Emily knows?
Amelie?
Yes? What is it? We mustn't be seen talking.
Anything you can tell me about John?
I hardly ever see him. Only at dinner. He's scared of Madam, and so he finds any reason to get out of the house and stay away as long as he can.
Damn.
Scared of her?
Oh, it's true. You should see him when they're in private. Like a shamed puppy that dirtied the carpet.
Interesting.
Do you have any idea why Jean is so afraid of Madame Dupre?
If he's seen the same things we have, then yes.
What kind of things?
No, I spoke out of turn. Forget I said anything.
Amelie, listen to me. A potentially innocent man's life is on the line. If I don't find out who attacked Madame Dupre, he's as good as dead. So if there are any facts or details you know that I don't, you need to tell me.
I can't.
You can. I'm not with the police. If Madame Dupre did something wrong, I'm not going to look the other way. Trust me, I'm on your side.
Madam beats the servants. I think she even does it for fun. I hear the screams sometimes. I don't know how anyone else in the family doesn't. Maybe they do and just ignore it. I don't know. But if Mr. Dupre knows what she do, it explains why he's so scared of her.
Did Madame Dupre ever abuse you?
No, I was lucky, but some of the others weren't.
Like who? I need details, Amelie.
The old gardener, Guy Dumas, and one of the maids, Celine. I saw Madame going after them the most. Don't know what they did to deserve it, but I would see her walk by in a rage, whip in one hand and a book in the other.
A book? What book?
Oh, I don't know. I can't read, so I don't know what it said on the cover. But it's the same color as the stew spice I always use. Don't know what she used it for, but she always had it with her, just before a beating.
Maybe she'd recite them some of her terrible poetry. I'm sure that was torture enough.
Tell me more about Guy and Celine.
They were deeply in love with each other. I used to hear them talk about how they wanted to run away together.
What happened to them?
New suspects
I
approach.
don't know. One day they were here, and then one day they weren't.
Do you think Madame Dupre may have done something to them?
I couldn't say for sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if she had. Please, let's not talk about this anymore.
Thank you, Amelie. I appreciate your time.
You.
Okay, so reds and oranges are up there. So let's have a look at this bookshelf. Can only be this one.
Well, this should be the book Amelie mentioned. Well, what have we here?
A whip, and it has dried blood on it.
Ugh.
Ghastly.
This house is just full of secrets, isn't it?
Well, that's unpleasant. Let's see if Andrew knows anything about that.
I have some questions for you.
All right.
Did you know Guy Dumas?
The old gardener? Sure, I knew him. We didn't talk very much. He was just a servant after all, but he seemed like a nice man. He stopped coming around about 2 months ago. Too bad, really. He did a good job of keeping the gardens looking nice. The new one is all right, but he just doesn't have that special touch Guy did.
Were you familiar with a servant named Celine?
Yes, I believe she was one of the maids. I didn't talk to her very much. Oh, she quit not so long ago. At least I assume she did. I haven't seen her in about 3 months.
Thanks for your time.
My pleasure.
So Celine vanished earlier than Guy.
So long.
That is interesting.
Doctor, may I ask?
Please.
Tell me what you know about Jean Dupre.
I'd rather not speak of him. Madame Dupre does not need to be agitated any further.
I take it you don't look very favorably upon him, then.
I'll just say this. If my wife had been attacked and left for dead, you can be sure I wouldn't leave her side.
What a gentleman. He doesn't even leave women who aren't his wife.
I see what you mean. Do you know where I might find him?
I only wish I did.
Those are all the questions I've got for now.
I hope I answered them adequately.
Let's have another talk with Juliet.
Hello again, Miss Montgomery. Mind answering a few more questions?
Hello, Mr. Fordham. Not at all.
Is there anything you can tell me about your stepfather, Jean?
He's a kind man. I don't really see him too often. He seemed rather upset at Mother's funeral, but I can't help but wonder if he feels the same way as I do about her death.
What do you mean?
Just that I get the distinct impression that he and Mother's marriage isn't as perfect as they'd like it to appear.
I'm starting to sense a trend here.
Your brother told me that Jean enjoys hunting. Do you know where his cabin is?
Yes, it's in Fenton Swamp. I went out there with him a few times, but I didn't really enjoy it. Frankly, the place is rather grotesque. All those stuffed trophies staring at you with their cold, dead eyes. Plants are much nicer to have around. Anyway, if you take the main road through the swamp about 1.5 miles, you'll come upon a small dirt path that goes northeast. Take that until you see a small cabin on the left. That's it.
Thank you for the information, Miss Montgomery.
Nice. Now I know where to go.
Do you know Guy Dumas?
Yes, he was one of our servants. He used to enjoy reading my books, as well as Andrew's.
When did you see him last?
Just last week. He came by to see me and asked to borrow some books.
Do you know where I might be able to find him?
Not really. I get the impression that he moves around frequently. But I can tell him you're looking for him next time I see him, if you like.
Please do. Although hopefully I'll be able to find him before then.
So, he hasn't been by the house for 2 months, but he's been to Juliet just a week ago.
Were you friends with Celine, the maid?
Yes, I was quite fond of Celine. She was so sweet and interesting to talk to. One day, she just left the house with no explanation. Mother said it was because she had found work elsewhere. I was terribly saddened. I wish I'd had the chance to say goodbye to her, at least. What's your interest in her?
Oh, I was just curious, that's all. No more questions for now.
Then if you don't mind, I have work to do.
Alright. Let's see if the suspect has anything more to say.
Nothing else?
Nope.
Hello? Is anyone here?
Strange of Dupre to leave the door unlocked. Maybe it means he'll be returning soon. One of the guns is missing. Jean must be out using it currently.
That's not gonna bode well for me.
You really have to wonder about someone who chooses to surround themselves with dead things. Satchels, boxes, and other assorted boring things for hunting. Not a very dignified end for our friend Mr. Bear. It seems Mr. Dupre is a Bollingworth man. Maybe he's not so bad after all. Some high society type in the middle of a hunt. I don't understand why anyone would get a thrill out of murdering innocent creatures. Not a very dignified...
What's in
Let's
here?
see if Jean has anything interesting in here.
Not very much, except a letter.
Dear Jean, thank you so much for your help. To think that Mother would try and have me withdrawn from my studies is just unbelievable. Don't worry. I won't tell her you made the university change their minds. One attempt to ruin a life is quite enough.
Who the hell are you? What are you doing in my cabin?
Jean Dupre, I presume?
Yes, that's right. Who are you?
Miles Fordham, private investigator. I'm looking into the attempted murder of your wife.
Oh, yes. Yes, of course. Forgive my rudeness, but you startled me.
Perfectly understandable, Mr. Dupre.
This is a man whose bark is most definitely worse than his bite.
Can we talk, Mr. Dupre?
I suppose so. Yes.
Cowardly Frenchman. Why am I not surprised?
What can you tell me about Madame Dupre?
Oh, my dear wife, the past few days have been just awful for all of us.
Yes, I can imagine. How long have you been married?
For 7 wonderful years. Laura and I are just as much in love now as we were on the day we married.
Lord, does he actually expect anyone to believe that nonsense?
You'll pardon me for being so frank, Mr. Dupre, but why are you out hunting and not at your wife's side?
Excuse me? Who are you to lecture me on my marriage?
A fellow married man, that's who. Your wife has just suffered a very traumatic ordeal. Shouldn't you be at home caring for her?
But with all the confusion at the house, with the police investigating and her being attended to by her doctor, I just needed to get away for a bit. Surely you can understand, Mr. Fordham.
There's something off about this guy, Miles. He's definitely hiding something. And for once, I don't think it's from his wife.
Do you know anything about the circumstances surrounding Madame Dupre's death?
Horrible. Simply horrible.
Do you have any idea why Mr. Martin might have attempted to kill her?
Mr. Martin? You mean the boys they arrested? Andrew said it's because Martin and his mother are witches who prey on the well-to-do. You only need to take one look at him to see his trouble. It's a shame they put him away so quickly. I'd have liked to teach him a lesson or two, believe you me.
Yeah, right. A lesson on how to cower in the corner, most likely.
I suppose it goes without saying that you enjoy hunting, Mr. Dupre?
Yes, I do. I consider myself something of an outdoorsman, you see. It's nice to be able to go out and get some fresh air after being sat at the bank all day.
What about your home life?
Truth be told, I'm not at home as often as I'd like to be. I've been trying to make more time, but something usually comes up. Business is business, after all.
Yeah, but what business are we talking about here exactly?
What can you tell me about your stepchildren?
Andrew and Juliet? I see a bright future ahead for both of them.
What's your relationship with them like?
It's fine. Why do you ask?
I got the distinct impression from both of them that they hardly ever see you.
Well, yes, I suppose that is true. We don't spend much time together. But they're both so busy with school, I don't want to get in their way. Not to mention my job keeps me away from home for considerable periods of time.
Excuses, excuses. I get the feeling Mr. Dupre avoids his family on purpose. But why?
Maybe he's gay.
Do you fear your wife, Mr. Dupre?
Do I... what?
The question's quite simple. Are you afraid of Madame Dupre?
Why in the ether would you think that?
Found this bloody whip.
I'd be afraid of someone who kept a bloody whip in my bedroom. Care to explain that?
You don't know her like I do. No one does. Well, no one aside from the servants, I suppose. She's cruel, Mr. Fordham. Crueler than anyone or anything I've ever seen.
Tell me more about Madame Dupre's cruelty.
She treats the servants like animals, Mr. Fordham. She would say the most vile, awful things to them. Things I would expect to hear on the Gascon docks, not from the lips of a grande dame. And the beatings. Oh, God. The screams I would hear from somewhere in the house. I never dared find out where.
Nobody else ever heard the screaming?
No. She was cunning. She would do it when no one else was around. Once she knew I had heard, she threatened me. Told me she would...
Yes?
She threatened to expose my secret, Mr. Fordham.
So
what secret
gay.
is that?
Our marriage is one of convenience. It's all for show. Laura has herself a well-to-do husband, and I am a normal man in the eyes of society.
So fucking gay.
Suppose that would explain a few things.
Well, now, how was that not obvious to you? The soporific is really having a bad effect on you.
Don't worry, Mr. Dupre. Your secret's safe with me.
Thank you, Mr. Fordham.
A cowardly gay Frenchie. Stellar character writing.
Tell me what you know about Guy Dumas and Celine.
Celine had an accident.
What kind of accident?
Laura thought Celine had been stealing her silverware. She got a bit carried away with a beating, and...
Dupre killed Celine?
Yes, she did. In order to keep it quiet, she had Celine placed in our family tomb.
I see. What about Guy?
I don't know. I never saw him again after that.
Well, this case has certainly taken a turn for the sinister.
Do you know anything about Madame Dupre trying to get Juliet taken out of her classes at the university?
Ah, yes. Laura didn't approve of her daughter's desire to further her education. So, she sent a letter to the university requesting Juliet's withdrawal. I didn't approve of her trying to meddle in Juliet's affairs. If she wants to study, she should be free to do so. I wrote them a letter myself, without Laura's knowledge, telling them to disregard the previous request for withdrawal.
That's very good of you.
Yes, well, I dislike seeing people being told what they can and can't do by others.
Yet, he seems perfectly willing to employ servants at his home. Well, I suppose we're all hypocrites in one way or another.
I'll be going now.
Au revoir, Mr. Fordham.
We haven't got anything else to ask him about right now.
Fucking gay! Let's ask Juliet about that letter.
Hello again, Miss Montgomery. Mind answering a few more questions?
Hello, Mr.
Did your mother try to get you withdrawn from the university?
As a matter of fact, she did. Just another one of the many ways she tried interfering with my life.
What happened, exactly?
Mother wrote the university requesting that I be withdrawn. I found out about it when the enrollment office contacted me. I couldn't believe it at first. I thought it was some sort of mistake, but then they showed me the letter.
I take it you were upset.
More than upset, Mr. Fordham. I was furious. I was trying to make a real life for myself. One that wasn't about dresses or debutante balls or fending off suitors. I'd been given the chance to make something of myself, and Mother was ready to bring it all crashing down, just because she didn't agree with it.
But in the end, you're still here.
Yes, Jean stepped in and fixed everything. He didn't have to do it, but it was very good of him. I'm afraid that was the beginning of the end of my relationship with Mother. We never really managed to fix things after that.
No more questions for now.
Then if you don't mind, I have work to do.
Fordham, are you thinking what I'm thinking? Wait, what am I saying? Of course you are! Madame Dupre has been interfering with Juliet's studies and disapproved of her relationship with Martin, hence their falling out. Plus, the information in Juliet's notes about ethericity, putting animals into a death-like trance, seems awfully suspicious.
It does.
It's enough to establish both means and motive. That's plenty to consider her a suspect.
Madame Dupree's estranged daughter hates her mother for disapproving of her relationship and trying to have her removed from university. Research in ethericity and its ability to make living creatures appear dead. Interesting.
She's busy.
Let's see if Albert has anything more to say.
Nothing else to ask him right now.
So, Celine is in the family tomb, huh?
This must be what was going to be Madame Dupree's final resting place.
I don't see anything inside.
What, were you expecting a note from her attacker?
No, but I was hoping for some kind of clue at the very least. Douglas Chesterton, 1791 to 1840. Good riddance. Dale Chesterton, 1795 to 1843. A good man. Rest in peace. Sarah Chesterton, 1784 to 1812. I told you I was sick. Celine, 1823 to 1844. Taken too soon. Rest ye with the angels.
Wait a minute. This is Celine, the maid. Somehow a piece of paper got wedged into the side of the vault.
Use the tweezers.
Carefully now.
Ooh, a minigame.
Got it! Nice work, Fordham. Now to see what this is.
She will pay for what she did to
Leaving
you,
notes
my
for the
love.
dead. How very touching. Wonder if anyone has left me one at my grave.
Quiet, Bill. I need to think. We know this note is likely from Guy. Now we just need to figure out where to find him.
Is there anything on the other side of that piece of paper?
Bill, you're a genius.
I wouldn't give me all the credit just yet.
Let's see. A receipt for an extended stay at the Stun Arms. Does that sound familiar at all?
Vaguely. But I can't recall anything off the top of my head.
Looks like we'll have to do a bit more searching.
All right. We're getting there. We're getting there.
Welcome back.
She's not gonna be...
Seems I have made my decision on not pressing her. That is a little bit disappointing.
I have some questions for you.
All right.
I found this note from Guy at your mother's family tomb.
I don't think I understand. Who did he leave it for?
Celine. She was interred in there.
Celine is dead? Why haven't I heard about any of this?
An excellent question, but not one for me to answer. I'm interested in finding Guy. See this receipt on the other side of the note? I need to find this hotel, the Stun Arms.
I can't think of anywhere with that name. I know a pub in Lyon called the Albert Arms, but that doesn't seem to match.
Thanks for your time.
My pleasure.
Let's see if Amelie knows.
Amelie?
Yes?
I found a note from Guy at the Chesterton tomb. He left it at Celine's vault.
So Celine is dead? And in Madame's family too?
Indeed.
My God, that woman really is the devil.
I need to find Guy, Emily. He wrote this note on a receipt for a hotel, but the name's only partially visible. Do you know any place that would be called the Stun Arms?
No, I don't know any hotels in the city. I'm sorry I can't help you, Mr. Fordham.
Bummer.
I found this upstairs in Madame Dupre's bedroom. Do you recognize it?
Oh, please take that away, Mr. Fordham. Why would you show it to me?
I'm sorry, I didn't think it would upset you.
Miles. Maybe someday you'll learn how to read basic human emotion.
Thank you, Amelie. I appreciate your time.
You're welcome.
Alright. Maybe I can ask Juliet about that. She will be mighty peeved that Celine is dead at the hand of her mother.
Hello again, Miss.
Hello, Mr. Ford.
I found this note from Guy at your mother's family tomb.
At the tomb? Why would he leave a note there?
It's for Celine. She's been interred there.
She's dead? Oh God, that's terrible. What happened to her? And why would she be in our family tomb?
That isn't for me to say. You'll have to ask your stepfather. In any case, this note was written on a hotel receipt. I'm trying to find where it came from, but the name is only partially legible.
I can't say it rings any bells. I'm sorry, Mr. Fordham.
No more questions for now.
Then if you don't mind, I have work to do.
I'm getting the distinct impression that John might know something. If he doesn't pans out, I have to ask
Mr.
Upton.
Ford.
Can we talk? I found this note in the Chesterton tomb. I suspect it was left by Guy.
So he's still alive?
Apparently so, and staying at a hotel somewhere, judging from this receipt the note was written on. As you can see, the name is only partially legible. Do you know where the Stun Arms might be?
I'm afraid not. Sorry.
I'll be going now.
Au revoir, Mr. Fordham.
Dang it. Maybe the suspect knows?
Nothing else.
Nope. Well, then there's only my wife and Upton.
Professor Xander, Simon Banks. I'm P.D. Preston's. I suppose if you and Adelaide ever Greens, Dr. These things. Dr. W.S. They should also. Simon Banks, professional.
Can we talk?
Go on.
I wanted to go over the case with you.
Okay, what have you got?
I found this note in the Chesterton tomb. I think it was left by the person who attacked Madame Dupre.
Nice work. Sounds like you're about ready to wrap things up.
I will be as soon as I find him. Take a look at the other side of it.
Part of a receipt for a hotel?
Yes, but the name is only partially visible at the bottom.
Stun Arms. The only hotel that comes to mind is the Boston Arms in Chumley.
Of course! I knew the name sounded familiar. The stories I could tell you about that place. Not right now.
You're helpful as always, Upton. Thank you.
Good luck, Fordham. I hope you find your suspect.
If this this wasn't modern times, I could just fucking Google that place. Also, it seems I can already wrap up the case.
That's it, I think.
Then you'd better get back to it.
Probably could present Juliet as the...
Who is it?
The,
Mr. Dumas, listen to me. I don't want to make this into more of an issue than it should be, but I believe it's in your best interest to let me in so I can speak with you.
Just a moment.
I'm Miles Fordham, a private investigator. It's extremely important I speak with you, Mr. Dumas.
What do you want?
Just to talk. May I come in?
Yes, I suppose so.
I found your note in St. Denis Cemetery. Care to explain what it means?
How did you...
I'm a private investigator, Mr. Dumas. That's what I do. Now we can either do this the easy way or the hard way. It's up to you.
I left that note for Celine. I didn't think anyone would ever find it.
So it was you who attacked Madame Dupre?
Yes. Yes, it was me. I confess.
I can't remember the last time a suspect actually confessed. If only they were all like this.
But please, Mr. Fordham, you have to understand. The woman is evil. If only you knew what she did. Please, don't arrest me, Mr. Fordham. You have to know the truth about Madame Dupre.
Relax, Mr. Dumas. I'm not going to arrest you just yet. I'm perfectly willing to hear your side of the story. Now let's take this nice and slow. What can you tell me about Madame Dupre?
She seemed like a nice woman at first, but after working for her, I came to know how awful she truly was. When no one was around, she would beat me and some of the other servants for fun, say the most cruel things, call us horrible names.
Why didn't you just leave?
She threatened us, told us she would make it impossible for us to get work anywhere else. It's already difficult enough getting a job that doesn't force you to operate those awful machines. To be blacklisted by Madame Dupre would have been the final nail in the coffin.
Okay.
How did you come to be employed by Madame Dupre?
I used to work in an iron factory in Chumley, but a few years ago, they brought in some steam machines to help production. One of the machines had a problem, and my friend Connor and I were assigned to fix it. We had no idea what we were doing, but we wanted to keep our jobs. I don't know what happened, but the next thing I knew, Connor was dead, and I was badly hurt. I swore never to go near one of those machines again. After I got better, I spent a few months looking for work, but it was impossible to find any jobs that didn't involve steam tech. Then I found out about Madame Dupre. Working at her home seemed like an improvement. I had a decent bed to sleep in. The work was not difficult, and I even made friends with her daughter. But Madame Dupre soon showed her true nature.
Tell me about Celine.
Oh, my dear Celine. She was the most beautiful thing I ever saw. We were going to get married, you know. Then that devil killed her. She beat her to death in front of me. I was powerless to do anything. Please, Mr. Fordham, I don't want to remember. Let us speak of something else.
Do you know Albert Martin?
No. Who is that?
He's Juliet's lover, falsely accused of the crime you committed.
I had no idea.
Are you going to let an innocent man die because of what you did?
No. No, of course not. I suppose things got out of hand. It was not my intention for someone else to take the blame for my actions.
So why did you attack Madame Dupre in the way you did?
I knew that if I went to her home and killed her, I would be caught and thrown in jail. I needed to find a way to do it quietly and not make anyone suspicious. Also, I wanted her to suffer for what she did to my Celine. I had read about toxic plants in Juliet's schoolbooks, and I knew a bit about them from working as a gardener. So I decided to poison Dupre and make her appear dead so she could be buried alive and suffer the same way she made us when she would lock us away in her secret room.
Where's that secret room?
Did you say secret room?
Yes, Mr. Fordham. It was no bigger than a coffin. She would place us inside if she was especially mad at us, with no food or water, sometimes for days at a time. We couldn't scream because she would stuff our mouths. She would also plug our ears and cover our faces.
How often did she put you in there?
Only a few times, but that was more than enough. I'd rather not think about it.
So you have no idea where it is?
None. I only remember Madame Dupre would say the same thing any time she was about to put someone in there. A perfect servant must behave. I've told you everything, Mr. Fordham. Are you still going to arrest me?
I haven't quite decided yet, Mr. Dumas. If I can find this secret room, it would be enough to charge Madame Dupre with a crime. However, if you haven't been telling me the truth...
I have been, Mr. Fordham. I swear it. I'll even make you a deal. If you promise me you'll try to find the secret room, I won't leave this hotel.
All right, Dumas. It's a deal.
Well, at least now we can go straight to Upton and have him taken in. Unless you really do believe him about the secret room.
Where could
That's all for right now, but I'll be back.
Yes, Mr. Fordham.
Where could that room be?
A wash basin? When did this place get so fancy? It appears someone is due for 7 years of bad luck. Seems to be what passes for a dresser around here. Either that or Dumas is secretly a pirate. If there's one thing I can't stand, it's crooked paintings.
I do suspect that it has something to do with the harpsichord and the note sheet.
As a music.
Let's ask around someone.
Stick around. I may have more questions for you later.
Don't worry.
Stick around.
Don't.
A perfect servant must behave.
Oh, dear God, no, please.
Maybe I just gotta play the scales C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. I guess it wasn't meant to be that easy.
I don't know much of... There are way more important things to concern ourselves with. Nothing else of interest.
Let's look at my documents again. Doesn't seem like I can get a look at the poetry again. So that mustn't have been terribly important.
Our eyes are... If we didn't know...
Maybe Juliet can tell me some more?
She's busy.
Nope. Maybe John has something more to say?
Oh. We haven't got anything else.
Huh. Addie's not home. Albert probably doesn't have anything else to say.
Else.
And
welcome back.
She's not.
Nope.
Can we talk?
Go on.
That's it, I think.
Then.
Perfect slave has to behave. Perfect servant has to behave. What could it mean? Let's see that note sheet again. It's gotta be something to do with that.
Nothing else. That's an old uniform. This must be Madame Dupre's first husband. A much younger Madame Dupre.
That's not what I meant to do. Maybe I can guess Guy some more?
He looks upset.
I feel like I missed a clue somewhere. I feel like somewhere along the way I missed a clue.
Well, they're vast sums of instead.
Oh, let's ask the parrots. Perfect servant must behave.
A perfect servant must behave.
And now you'll taste an early grave. Me sofa, Ray. In the middle, see?
All right.
So long.
Okay. Start with the middle C and then me sofa Ray. Okay, start at the middle C and then E G F D. Okay, there's the middle C. Then it's E G F D.
That seems to have done something.
Fucking hell!
Dear God!
This does not look good. He's dead. You should inform Dr. Fellows about this right away.
It seems Guy was telling the truth after all.
Yes, it would probably be a good idea to let him know of this development.
Oh, Miss...
We have...
I didn't even mean to go here.
Guy?
Yeah?
I found the secret room you told me about.
You see? I wasn't lying.
No, you certainly weren't. There was someone inside. A man.
No. Who?
I'm not sure, but I can only assume it was one of Madame Dupre's servants.
Was he alright?
I'm afraid not. He was dead. Dr. Fellows confirmed it was due to asphyxiation.
Madame Dupre must have put him in there before I drugged her. And then, with everything that's happened, she didn't let him out in time. Oh my God. It's my fault he's dead. If only I'd known.
The circumstances are quite unfortunate, Mr. Dumas. However, this has shed a new light on Madame Dupre and her cruel practices. I can't say for certain that you were justified in your actions, but I am a bit reluctant to say you were completely at fault. But the bottom fact is that Mr. Martin has been falsely accused of this crime. If I were to let you go, he would be punished in your place. Unless...
Yes?
I'm going to need you to write me a letter, Mr. Dumas.
Of course, Mr. Fordham. Anything to take care of this mess.
Good. Hopefully now this whole grim affair can be brought to an end. That's all for right now, but I'll be back.
Yes, Mr. Fordham.
Alrighty, what document have we gotten? Guy's confession. I, Guy Dumas, of sound mind and body, hereby confess to the attempted murder of Madame Laura Dupre.
we talk?
Go on.
I think I'm ready to wrap this case up.
Okay, who's your prime suspect?
It was Guy Dumas, a former servant at Dupre Manor. He used toxic plants to drug Madame Dupre so she appeared dead, which he learned about from her daughter's schoolbooks.
What was his motive?
That's the thing. I've learned that Madame Dupre is extremely cruel to her servants. She regularly beats them, and even has a secret room no bigger than a coffin where she places them as punishment. I discovered this secret room and found a dead servant inside. He had died from asphyxiation.
My God.
A few months ago, Madame Dupre beat Guy's lover Celine to death. He wanted revenge and intended to make Madame Dupre suffer the trauma of being interred alive.
I see.
Constance, I don't think Dumas should be arrested for his crime. He doesn't deserve it. Madame Dupre, however...
Yes, I see what you're saying, and I agree, but what about Mr. Martin?
I got a signed confession from Mr. Dumas. You can see the handwriting matches this note I found in the cemetery. That should be enough to release Mr. Martin, as well as giving Guy a head start in his escape from the city.
It's gonna be tricky getting the department to look into this, but with the proof you've gathered, it should work. Excellent investigating, Fordham. I knew you still had it in you.
Woo!
And of course, I'll dip into the department's Good Samaritan fund to get you proper compensation for your work. For now, go home to your wife. I'm sure I'll have something else for you to look into fairly soon.
We got best ending.
Good evening. I'm looking for Madame Laura Dupre.
This is Madame Dupre. I am her personal physician, Dr. Fellows. May we help you, officer?
I'm afraid I must place Madame Dupre under arrest.
What? On what charge?
Several, actually. Manslaughter, domestic violence, murder in the second degree. Shall I go on, or can we continue this at the police station?
Yay!
You won't have to worry about Madame Dupre anymore. She'll be in jail for a very long time. And Mr. Martin has been released with a full pardon as well.
Thank you, Mr. Fordham. I appreciate your help and your trust.
Think nothing of it, but you'll need to leave town as soon as you can. Have you made plans?
I was thinking of heading south. New Britannia is too cold and dark. I want to find someplace more like my home.
Well, I wish you the best of luck, Mr. Dumas. Addie, I'm home. Addie?
She must still be out at her hairdressing appointment. I'm glad we're alone because I wanted to talk to you about something.
Yes, Bill, I know. I told you I'm doing my best to try and find the flower shop burglar.
No, for once this isn't about him. This is about you.
Me? What are you on about?
You can play dumb and deflect all you like with everyone else around you, but it won't work with me. I know exactly what you're thinking, and you know exactly what I'm gonna say.
You want to talk about how we did on this case?
Yes, that's exactly right. Have you already forgotten the old days, Miles? Before I died, we were solving cases like nobody's business. You were one of the best detectives on the force. But ever since you started taking that soporific, your mind hasn't been as sharp as before. If you're serious about taking on more complex cases, you need to listen to Adelaide and stop taking it. It's already had a negative effect on your performance.
What are you talking about? We were able to discover the truth about Madame Dupre.
Yes, but if you were working at your full abilities, you'd have come to that conclusion much sooner.
If I stop taking it, you won't let me sleep through the night. Nothing will change.
Well, things would change if you found you-know-who.
I thought you said we weren't going to talk about that right now.
Yeah, well, I say a lot of things.
An understatement if ever there was one. Can't you just keep quiet without me having to take something?
Afraid not, old friend. That's just not who I am or how this works.
If you keep me up all night, I'll go crazy. Things have been hard enough as it is. And if, God forbid, Adelaide were ever to find out about...
Hello, Miles. Is there someone else here? I thought I heard you talking just now.
Fantastic. The jig is up. And here I thought we were doing so well, too.
Oh, yes. I was just calling out to see if you were home yet.
Well, I am now.
How was your appointment?
Mrs. Lefebvre was her usual bossy and overly picky self, but she gave me a very generous tip.
That's good.
So I stopped by the shop on the way home and bought a new deck of cards.
Excellent. Shall we have a few rounds of écarté? I believe you demanded a rematch last time we played.
Yes, that would be nice.
Well, you certainly managed to dodge that bullet. I only wonder how much longer you'll manage before one finally hits you.
Two weeks later.
And it says here they still don't know what caused that explosion.
I guarantee you it was sabotage. Those Redites have been causing a lot of trouble lately.
Is that the group of anti-steam tech radicals?
The very same.
Why Redites, though?
They're named after some fellow named Jonathan Red. Apparently the one who began the whole anti-steam movement. It's really a rather stupid name, if you ask me. And uncreative, to boot.
Well, what would you call them, then?
The Boom Boom Boys.
Something more evocative, like the Boom Boom Boys.
Definitely gets to the point, I'll give you that. Perhaps you'd best stick with the detecting, dearest. Your nomenclature needs a bit of work.
Well, I think it's about time I get ready for bed.
All right, Miles, if you must.
Alrighty, that's gonna be it from me for today. I always like a game with an episodic structure that makes structuring these streams much easier. I hope you enjoyed watching this. I'm having a lot of fun with this game. I do like that there's apparently a multiple ending structure. I wonder how that's gonna play out in the very end. And yeah, hope you enjoyed. And I'll see you again soonish. So, Marco.